John Wayne Gacy, a name that still sends shivers down the spine of true crime enthusiasts. Born and raised in Chicago, Gacy's early life was much like any other. He worked hard, carving out a successful career as a construction contractor, and became a familiar face in local politics. He was seen as an upstanding citizen, a man involved in his community, the kind of person who would go out of his way to help others. Yet, there was another side to Gacy. He had an unusual hobby. He performed as a clown at children's parties and charitable events. His clown persona, Pogo the Clown, brought joy and laughter to many. However, this cheerful exterior was nothing more than a facade, a disguise to a disturbing double life. But beneath this seemingly ordinary facade lurked a darkness that no one could have imagined. Behind the jovial clown and the respected businessman, Gacy hid a terrifying secret. A secret so dark it would send shivers down the spine of even the most hardened true crime aficionados. Let's rewind the clock to the early 70s. It was in the year 1972 that Gacy's criminal activities took a horrific turn. The man who was once known for his community involvement and business acumen had committed his first known murder. The life of an unsuspecting teenager was brutally extinguished, marking the beginning of a dark and terrifying chapter. As time ticked on, Gacy's monstrous appetite for destruction only grew. The one murder escalated into a series of horrific crimes that would shake the community to its core. His victims, young, innocent boys, were lured under the pretense of construction work, only to meet an untimely and gruesome end. However, it was the shocking discovery in December of 1978 that truly unveiled the darkness beneath the surface. Following a police search of his suburban Chicago home, investigators made a chilling discovery. Beneath the facade of a normal family home and beneath the very ground it stood on lay the remains of 29 victims. The house, which had once echoed with the laughter of Gacy's children, was now a silent tomb for those he had brutally taken from the world. Further searches in the local area revealed more bodies, discarded without a second thought. The magnitude of Gacy's crimes was laid bare for all to see, making a mockery of the man who had once stood as a pillar of the community. The jovial clown, the respected businessman, the family man were all masks, worn to hide the true face of a predator who hunted in plain sight, his true nature obscured by the very community he preyed upon. Gacy's house of horrors had finally been uncovered. The once bustling neighborhood was left to grapple with the chilling realization that a monster had been living among them. A monster named John Wayne Gacy. What the authorities discovered in Gacy's house was beyond horrifying. A suburban home, once thought to be the residence of a jovial party clown, was now the epicenter of one of the most chilling crime scenes in American history. John Wayne Gacy, known to his victims as Pogo the Clown, had a particular modus operandi. He targeted young males, often runaways or street kids, who were easily swayed by the promise of work or the prospect of a party. Gacy would lure them to his house under these pretenses. Once there, they would fall prey to his gruesome acts. Gacy had an unnerving method of control, which he chillingly referred to as the handcuff trick. He would show his unsuspecting victims a pair of handcuffs, demonstrating how they worked by placing them on himself. Then he would convince the young men to try them on. Once they were handcuffed, they were at his mercy, unable to escape the horrifying fate that awaited them. The bodies of Gacy's victims were discovered in the most horrific conditions imaginable. The crawl space beneath his house was transformed into a makeshift graveyard. The bodies were found stacked on top of each other, some buried so shallowly that their remains were barely covered. Gacy's house held the remains of 26 victims, making him one of the most prolific serial killers in American history. The sheer number of victims was staggering. Gacy's reign of terror lasted 6 years, from 1972 until his arrest in 1978. In that time, he claimed the lives of 33 young men and boys, a number that places him among the ranks of America's deadliest killers. Gacy's reign of terror had finally come to an end, but the nightmare was far from over. The discovery of his gruesome acts sent shockwaves through the nation, turning a spotlight onto the dark underbelly of suburban America, where a monster had been hiding in plain sight. Gacy's trial was one of the most high-profile in American history. The year was 1980, when the world watched as one of the most notorious serial killers of the time stood trial. The courtroom was a theater of horror as the details of John Wayne Gacy's gruesome acts were laid bare for all to see. The defense team for Gacy had a formidable task ahead. Their client had confessed to the murders of 33 young men and boys, all buried beneath his house and in the surrounding area. The defense's strategy? An insanity plea. They argued that only someone with a severe mental disorder could commit such heinous acts. They painted a picture of Gacy as a deeply disturbed man, struggling with his own demons. However, the prosecution was relentless. They presented evidence of Gacy's calculated and premeditated actions, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was fully aware of his deeds. The trial was a spectacle that drew unprecedented media attention. Every gruesome detail was dissected and discussed, and the public watched in fascinated horror. Gacy's trial was more than just a court proceeding. It was a macabre spectacle that held the nation captive. It was a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of ordinary people and the unspeakable acts that they are capable of committing. The verdict? Guilty. The sentence? Death. The jury rejected the insanity plea, and Gacy was convicted on all counts. The courtroom erupted in a mix of relief and horror as the sentence was announced. The man who had terrorized Chicago was finally going to pay for his crimes. Gacy was sentenced to death, marking the end of a chilling chapter in American crime history. But while the trial may have ended, the shadows cast by his heinous crimes continue to linger, a grim reminder of the darkness that mankind is capable of. In 1994, the long-awaited end of John Wayne Gacy came. After 14 years on death row, the man behind the clown makeup, who had terrorized Chicago with his horrific crimes, was finally facing his reckoning. Awaiting his execution in the Stateville Correctional Center in Illinois, Gacy showed no signs of remorse for the 33 young lives he had brutally ended. His final words, a defiant "kiss my ass," were a chilling testament to his lack of empathy and remorse. He had spent his years on death row painting and selling his artwork, bizarrely often depicting his alter ego, Pogo the Clown, a chilling symbol of his monstrous double life. On the evening of May 10, 1994, Gacy was executed by lethal injection. The man who had inflicted such pain and terror was no more. But the end of Gacy's life didn't bring an end to the horror of his deeds. His crimes continued to echo in the halls of American criminal history, a grim reminder of the evil that can hide behind the most ordinary of facades. In the aftermath of his death, the families of his victims were left to grapple with their loss, their grief amplified by the knowledge of the monstrous man who had taken their loved ones from them. The homes and neighborhoods he once prowled took on a haunting quality, forever marked by his gruesome deeds. Gacy's story became an enduring part of true crime folklore. His name is often mentioned along with the likes of Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer, notorious figures who, like Gacy, perpetrated unspeakable acts beneath a veneer of normalcy. John Wayne Gacy's story serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the most ordinary of exteriors. His life and his crimes force us to confront the uncomfortable truth that monsters are not always easy to spot. They can be hidden behind friendly smiles, inside well-kept homes, and even beneath the colorful makeup of a clown. Even decades after his death, Gacy's legacy continues to both fascinate and terrify. His twisted tale of double lives and heinous crimes has seeped into the fabric of our culture, leaving an indelible stain. We see echoes of his disturbing persona in movies, books, and songs. The terrifying clown, the hidden monster beneath the friendly facade. His case has sparked countless discussions about the nature of evil, about how a seemingly ordinary man can harbor such darkness. It has become a chilling cautionary tale, a grim reminder that monsters don't always look like monsters. The reverberations of Gacy's crimes have been felt most acutely by the victims' families, their lives forever marred by his unspeakable acts. The community, too, has been left with a haunting legacy, forever grappling with the memory of the atrocities that occurred within its midst. John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown, lives on in infamy, a chilling testament to the darkest corners of the human psyche.